in the beginning, you were explaining the overall conflict as being one between indigenous forces in the West. But then you talked a great deal about state failure, the failures of human development, autocratic failures, the isolation of elites, and so forth. So is the problem at bottom the long-term anger at, resentment towards this Western intervention? Or is the problem at bottom the people's sense of embitterment and alienation towards their own failed regimes, which the regimes, among others, have proved to be very deft at channeling in the direction of outside actors?
Right. It's really a combination of the two. You can't separate them. In the eyes of most of the people in the region, in the Arab Islamic societies, the two are really synonymous. You have multiple levels of problems. You have political problems, lack of democracy, you have corruption, economic stress, I mentioned the figures, social change, disparities. There's a lot of problems at different groups, different dimensions of society. You have internal problems within countries, you have problems among countries, Arabs, you have Arab-Israeli and now Arab-Israeli-Iranian, and you have the Western. So you've got these kind of multiple different dimensions that you have to fit together, and you can't just isolate one and say this is the problem. This has been the failure of most Western approaches, both by governments and NGOs. People say, well, it's just the education system. Get rid of those madrasas and educate the girls and take away these preachers and things will be hunky-dory. Well, that's not how it works. It's not how the world works. We know that from fighting drugs and crime in this country. It's not just one issue. It's jobs, it's a sense of decency, it's the rule of law, economic opportunity, environmental protection, and most of all, a perception by the individual human being that their dignity as a human being and their rights are addressed. And from the perspective of many people around our region, that sense of dignity is deeply deficient. And they blame their own governments and societies. They blame regional, mostly Arab-Israeli issues, and they blame foreign. So the three levels all come together, and this is why it's much more complicated now than it was 20 and 40 years ago.